Good morning, afternoon, evening, everybody. I'm Gunnar Eos, and welcome to another episode of the Logical Gamers podcast. I am here tonight with Mr. Blankakong, Mr. Esoteric, and tonight's going to be a kind of different topic. If you guys have been watching and listening to us for a while, you know we mostly talk about video games and nerd culture, but we've done a lot of video game stuff. So tonight we're going to do something a little different. Like I said, we're going to talk about Gunpla. Now, somebody's listening to that like, what the fuck's a Gunpla? So just a brief explanation. Gunpla is basically the building of Gundam, the anime from Bandai Namco, which is, been around for years at this point. First Gundam was in the 70s, I believe, with Mobile Suit Gundam. So, and it's continuing to this day, 2023, with Witch of Mercury being the current Gundam show that is airing right now. So, needless to say, Gundam's been around for a while. It's a mainstay in Japan and Japanese culture. And eventually, like most things, it found its way into America, where we are, and we kind of reap the benefits of the Gundam culture. So, some of that Gundam culture are model kits of the various Gundams, the good guys, the bad guys, everybody in between. And they are extremely extensive. So they go from the highest grade, perfect grade, which is fine-tuned parts, high quality kits, to simpler, less expensive, but respectable high grades, and everything in between. So I don't want to sound like an elitist because I am far from it. I've just been dabbling in it ever since they showed up at Toys R Us way back in the 90s with Gundam Wing. And, during our, let's say, unprecedented times, I kind of got into it more heavily because we had nothing else to do, right? So, and I'm just, continuing to this day, and I managed to rope my two colleagues over here into getting addicted to this money sink, as it were. So, that long-winded intro out the way, we're just going to talk about our Gundam experiences. I'm going to talk about the Gunpla I've built. Kong is going to talk about the ones he built. Our newest member, Esoteric, who just got, maybe not peer pressured into getting back into it. He's dabbled in the hobby before. You're going to hear a legendary story about a legendary suit. You're going to love it. It's great. It's lore, logical gamers lore. And, we're just going to talk about things we like, things we don't like, what we kind of want to do, how much customization we're looking to do. It's just general topic. If you're a Gunpla builder, we hope we don't sound too noobish and amateur for you. And, feel free to comment on your favorite builds, what custom jobs you did, if anything, or if you're interested in the hobby, interested in getting into it. We'd love to hear from you. So I'll talk about my Gundam building later on in the segment. My intro was kind of long, so I'll pass it off to you gentlemen. Like, I know you guys, Kong is like brand new to Gunpla. He hasn't even watched. Well, he hasn't watched the majority of Gundam, so he's doing it purely for the love of building the kits and the cool robots. I know you, Esoteric, you've watched plenty of Gundam shows, so you have more affinity with the actual, I guess, lore behind the different Gundams. So we got many perspectives tonight for everybody. So I'll leave it to you, gentlemen. I'll let one of you guys take it off. What do we think about this expensive hobby we find ourselves in?
Okay, so I guess I'm going to go next because I feel as though Kong brings a new light into the gunpla atmosphere. As Gunner so
Praise
eloquently
Zeon.
as as Gunner so eloquently put it, they actually brought me back into the hobby. Prior to knowing these wonderful gentlemen, I was building gunpla as a hobby. Very, very, very novice like, just essentially putting the pieces together, putting the robots in a cool pose. The most thing that I would do is kind of like sand down the parts for the sides just to, get that nice polished finish, nice and smooth, because I'm very meticulous when it comes to things like that. But when it comes as far as like the painting and building terrain to kind of tell a story, I would like to do that, but I haven't done so as of yet. I'm getting back into it. So I'm sure you guys probably are asking, like, what made me deter from Gunpla to begin with? So, during college, as these guys know, I tell the story all the time because that was one of my reasons for not coming back, as these guys kept, posting things and posting Gundams in our chat, talking about the robots and everything. Um, I had a perfect grade, and for those of you who are in the Gunpla world, you guys know that perfect grade is like the most elite grade. It's the kit that has the most articulation, numerous amount of parts, a lot of trinkets, bells and whistles, etc., etc. It goes on and on. So my favorite Gundam comes from Gundam Wing. Um, Actually, the movie Gundam Endless Waltz is the Wing Zero. Hiro Yuri, favorite pilot ever. Got like this Batman vibe to him. Always about the mission, getting shit done. Very militant in that regard. Um, and I ended up buying a perfect grade Wing Zero. Um, Took me quite a few hours to build it in a space of like a few days because it's very building a model, especially a perfect grade, can be very taxing. So it takes up quite some time. Um, so for someone that knew what they were doing at the time, it probably ran me about a good maybe 6 hours because there was a lot of new components with it. First of all, I don't know if you know Kong, but the higher grades have like a skeletal structure. So you have to build the skeleton model first before you actually put the components on it, which is really freaking cool. Love that about them because it leads for more articulation. So I had to do that. Also, the Wing Zero comes with some lighting and some like weird wiring that you had to like kind of contort and finagle just to make his the chest plate light up. It even comes with a miniature version of Hiroyuri, the pilot. It's rather small. It's like super tiny, but um, the sizing compared to the actual model makes sense. It's realistic, so you can actually put him in the compartment itself. Really freaking cool. Um, and I did all of that. I set everything up. It was amazing. Ran me about a good 150, maybe $200 tax with tax. Um, so finished building the model, finished admiring it, loving loving the articulation. It was so articulate down to the wings. Like each feather was malleable. You can like move it with whichever way you wanted it to go. Um, all the way down to the fingers. The fingers had joints and they were like super tiny. I know I'm like kind of like moving to the camera, but you guys won't be able to see that. But the fingers are relatively tiny and you had to put each one in. Each of them had its own separate joint. So like let's say for example the pointer, you had to get from the nail to one joint to the other part where you bend to the knuckle. Like it was super super articulate. Um and again finished it, left it alone, admired it for a few minutes, kept going to and from it, playing around with it, all of that. So one day, it was either after school or after work. I don't really recall. This was like over a decade ago. Um, I was coming home from school, coming home from or work, and I come home to my kit dismantled, like it was destroyed. I like if I was in such awe. I was so hurt. Um, because it was my favorite Gundam that was smashed. And not only was it my favorite Gundam, it was the fact that it cost a lot of money. It was a lot of effort and time that got put into it. And I'm not even including the painting and stuff because I never even did that with that particular kit because even painting and doing the whole lining takes a lot of time as well. But just the building of it alone took a lot of time and the money. and the love for the Gundam. I was so heartbroken. Come to find out, my nephews at the time, who are currently big now, they're adults. They thought it was a toy, and they ended up playing around with it, and they broke it into many pieces. Um, so that's the story behind it. I swore to myself, like, well, not really swore to myself. That's a little bit extreme, but I told myself that I would never get back into Gunpla. That's it. I spent all this money on a goddamn kit, and they destroyed it. I'm not doing this again. So fast forward to 2023, Kong gets introduced to the Gunpla. Uh, Gunner has always been consistent with it. So we always knew that was a hobby that he liked to partake in. And then finally, after all these years, he finally, I don't know how he did it. I don't know what it was, because it in my opinion, Gunpla checked off all the things that Kong likes. He likes building shit. He likes robots. He likes, you know, organizing things like and such. Something just clicked, and he was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. And just seeing them sharing their best robots that they recently built, seeing the new innovative things that they're doing with them, and just talking, just having Gunpla discussions kind of revitalized my passion for it. So I went and bought a couple of kits and built them as well. So that's the
Oh,
story.
you went ham. You walked in with like 5 of them. I went a little light shopping. Nothing too serious.
Okay, so just to shine some light on that, there's a store located by me named Hobby Lobby, and they had a couple of kits, and they had like a nice sale going on. I think it was 40% off. So I went there. Honestly, I was going in there with the intentions of just looking, just window shopping. And the first day I ended up leaving with about maybe 6 kits. And then the following day, I went back to the store and bought like another 6, 7 kits. Yeah. So
Somebody went ham. It's like an alcoholic. Fucking, you fell off the wagon. You were like, just
I
let me get your
did,
stock.
man. I did, man. That Gunpla Anonymous really helped me out through the years, but then you guys started like giving me that fix, and I just got addicted all over again. So addicted to the point that so far, for the past week, each and every day I've built a model. Like I built it. Gunner and Khan can attest to it because we have a Discord, which we will promote at the end of this podcast session.
Links in the
Every
description.
day, exactly. I posted a kit every day that was built. So, this is bittersweet because my pockets are going to take a significant hit. Those high grades, those what is it? Not I didn't get a master grade as of yet, but it's the high grades. The high grades. Oh, and I think I got a couple of real grades as well. I think those are the ones that start with the skeletal structure, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So I got a couple of those, and I got mostly high grades. And I would like to preface this by saying that if the kit looks cool, I just pick it up. I like, the way the Gundam looks. So I even have some entry kits as well. I think I have the RX-78 2 that was an entry kit, and I just built it just for building it. Took about an hour and a half or so, not too long. And yeah, I'm going on and on. I'm gonna talk about other things as well in the future. But let's see what Kong has to say, because he's the new challenger when
I'm
it
the
comes
new
to
kid
this
on the
Gunpla.
block.
Yes,
Yeah,
indeed,
so
indeed.
I've always had a slight interest in getting into Gundam. Ever since I learned about it in like high school or whatever, because it was like, if I remember correctly, it was a part of like Toonami's like
Yeah,
loop of
Yeah,
programming.
definitely.
it was their lineup, Gundam Wing.
So I was like, oh, that looks cool, but I never dove in. I just didn't. I don't know why. I just never did. Not because I didn't like it, but it just never happened. It's kind of like when there's like a game that is good, and you want to play it, and it's just like I just never found myself in a position to play it for whatever reason. Like I got distracted with something else, or I forgot about it, or whatever. Kind of like Dino Crisis for me. Like I didn't play Dino Crisis until like a year ago. And that's a game I should have played back then, but I just never did.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, I
thought it was a
played it, but I
refresher
never
for you.
owned it. Huh?
No, I was gonna say I thought it was like a refresher for you.
No, that was a first time playthrough. That was
Oh, nice.
yeah. So but yeah, anyway, back to Gundam. So right now I am getting into the anime. I'm starting off with the first one, the 1979 Gundam show, and I'm like halfway through the anime. It's like 43 episodes or something like that.
Very
And
nice. Very
I'm
nice.
liking the show. It's really really good. I like the fact that there's actually like combat pretty much in every episode, which is awesome. And I like the characters and everything. So I'm digging the show. I'm not upset, but I'm a little disappointed I didn't get into it earlier. But it's okay, you know. Like, it is what it is, right?
I
Like,
mean,
Better
nah,
late than never.
Gundam is like fucking timeless. Like I said, newest show is Witch of Mercury, and you're starting at the OG. So I mean, it's never too late.
Yeah,
And
it isn't.
It's like the Law and Order of anime. Like they have several different versions, many episodes.
I noticed, and I was
Yeah.
like looking up, like, okay, Gundam. Where do I start, right? Because I like the Universal Century stuff. Like I just like that version or that world or that universe of Gundam. Everything's more grounded. Everything's a little more military, less, you know, sci-fi. Even though the original one does take, you know, there are space battles and stuff, right? But it's a little more grounded, I guess. I don't know.
no, yeah, it's more
Well, that's-
believable. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just more
Uh,
believable. So, go ahead, what were you gonna ask me?
No, I was just gonna say for the most part, typically Gundams usually have like their Earth battles or whatever planet they're on, and then they have the space battles. So there's gonna be like a nice diverse between the two.
Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, there's definitely both, but right now, at least in the point that I'm in, they're primarily fighting on Earth. They've crash landed on Earth and they're fighting on Earth or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, onto the Gunpla though. I've always been kind of interested, but a little intimidated by the idea of building this kit. I remember many times I would see like a kit and I'm like, oh, this is cool, and then I would remove the lid and just see all these
Yes,
fucking
yeah,
pieces of
yeah.
plastic sheets, and I'm like, whoa, this looks like a lot of work, and like I don't want to fuck this up, so like maybe not, like maybe this isn't for me. I'll just buy the action figure. But at the shop that I work, we started getting some in randomly, and they were like on clearance, so they were like $12-15, and I'm like, all right, maybe this one looks pretty cool, and that one is the battle log Quant Gundam figure, which happens to be one of my favorite kits that I've built so far. Funny that was the first one I bought. So I bought that one, and this was months ago, and I just kind of left it there, and I bought another one, the Blazing Gundam battle log kit, and I think I bought some other one. It's like a Lancer. I don't know his name off the top of my head. And I just had those three, and I was like, all right, well, I'll get to these, and you know, if I'm into it, I'm into it. And I didn't have nippers. I didn't even know you needed nippers. So I just had a copper wire cutter. I just used that for a while, actually.
It's
My
funny.
man returned the monkey with that one.
It's funny you say that because my first kit I didn't realize that you needed nippers as well, but I kind of went like high risk high reward. So I was doing it like, remember the old school, because the GI Joe weapons used to come in the same type of runners, but they weren't stuck to like the plastic like how the Gundam pieces are. So I was trying, my stupid ass was trying to like push them with my
Pop
finger.
them out.
Damn.
Yeah. Luckily, it wasn't. It was a cheap one, but still, like one of the pieces, the most important pieces broke. I think it was like maybe a joint for like one of the arms or something, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah, so I mean, it's fine. Like the Gundams are together. They stand. All the pieces are there, right? It's not the cleanest look, but whatever. And I built it. I'm like, man, that was fun. Like, and it took me like maybe 3.5 hours for my first few builds because I was just like understanding it and like, why is the book reversed? It's Japanese. The pictures. All right, let's look at the pictures. And so, yeah, once I finished it and I was posing them and everything, I was like, wow, this looks really cool. I think I really like this. So once the gate was open, it was open, and then I was like, oh, I'll build another one tomorrow. And then I'll build another one tomorrow, and then I'm out. I'm like, fuck, I don't have any more. And then so there's a shop in our city, me and Gunner's city, that specializes in Gunpla and statues. And we go there, and I went in there with the full intention of spending at least $200. And I was going to buy as much as I could. And I really didn't know where to start. So I just started somewhere, and I was just like, oh, well, that looks cool, that looks cool, that looks cool. And next thing you know, I spent $330, something like that. And I had like 12 kits or something like that. And I've already ran through that pretty much. And I went back this past week, and I blew another $300 on more kits. And then I did an online order because there were cheap kits that they didn't have. So I spent another $100 on these smaller kits that I want to work on, like customizing. So I'm already like,
Wow.
like $700 into the hobby, and that's not including like supplies and extra things that I might have bought, like markers and things like that. So yeah, I'm a Gundam person now, and I did buy a master grade. I bought my first 2 master grades last week. The gun cannon and a GM, I forget which one. It's like the brown and orange one. They were like $40 each. Pretty cheap master grades, so I think it's a good entry point. I like the bots, so it's like, okay, I don't know. I just like the year 1 robots, the GM robots. Like, they just look fucking cool to me, and I just like the flat bulkiness of those particular mobile suits. So that's kind of like the aesthetic that I'm kind of leaning toward. So it was perfect. It was cheap. It was a new grade for me to try, which I'll try maybe, next month or something like that. And there were, bots that I actually like. So it kind of worked out. So, but I'm primarily building high grade. I did build 2 real grades already. I'll talk more about my experience with real grade versus high grade later. But yeah, that's my Gundam origin.
So yeah, like I said in the intro, I got back into it during like the 2020 when we were all had limited things to do. Let's just say, I was buying kits, and I used to kind of like Esoteric. I was big into Gundam when they were showing it on Toonami, and much like a lot of things, Toys R Us kind of stocked them way back in the 90s. I know some people listening don't even know what a Toys R Us is. It was a department store that sold toys in the name. Toys and video games, and if it was popular enough, kind of like, I'm gonna say, for normie culture, for just like average Joes, it showed up at a Toys R Us. So because Gundam Wing was new in America, they showed up at the Toys R Us, and they were high grade kits. I believe they were high grade. My memory betrays me a little bit. So I remember the Gundam. It was Sandrock, because Gundam Wing was really popular, so that was the one they stocked the most. I bought it. I put it together. I fucked up the eye stickers. I fucked up pieces. And I was like, this shit looks like crap. And it looks nothing like the box. At the time, I didn't know that the box this is how it looks when it's painted, not how it looks when it comes out. I didn't know that. I thought it was going to come out just like this. So I was like, fuck this shit. I hate it. I don't want it anymore. And it eventually disintegrated and died with the rest of my children's toys. Fast forward to 2020, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to do it. And like Kong and Esoteric, they took the smart route, right? Starting with high grade, getting a couple kits and working, getting their skills back or developing their skills with that. I said, fuck that shit. I bought a master grade of Crossbone Gundam, one of my favorite Gundams. And I was like, if I fuck this up, I'm just not destined to do this at all. And I put it together, and at this time I'm a lot older, so I know, yes, it's not going to come out like the box because the box assumes that you paint the kit. So I knew that, so I didn't have that unreasonable expectation. So when I built it, I was like, wow, kind of like what Kong just said, this is really fun. Like, it took time to build. I made a whole evening out of it. I had music going. I was listening to podcasts while building it. So it was like a whole relaxation thing, right? I wasn't sitting there staring at a screen like when I'm playing video games or watching a movie. I was kind of being dexterous. I was using my hands. I was kind of like, you know how they say men like building things and using stuff with their hands. Yeah, I'm not doing a car. I'm not putting an engine in a new car, but I'm building little plastic robots. So after that, I went ham, and I'm kind of on where I'm at currently. I'm kind of at the more expensive side of Gunpla. Usually I stick to master grades. I recently got one of our friends got, spotted me a perfect grade, respect to him. I still owe him
Oh
on
yeah,
that one.
when we went to the expo, yeah.
Right. So, my first perfect grade was done recently. It was Banshee, Unicorn Gundam from the Unicorn series, the Banshee Gundam, and I love it. It fucking came out great, just straight vanilla, no painting. I put on the decals, it looked great. So my kind of proclivity is in the expensive, like master grade side, but so I don't build as many kits as my fellow Gunpla builders, but like when I build a kit, I usually stretch it out. So that thing lasts me like a month. And not
Wow.
because I can't build it. I could probably build it in a week or maybe a couple days because I'm confident. I'm more confident in my building skills than I was when I built that crossbone. But I make a project out of it. It's like a relaxation thing for me. If I'm like stressed or I'm just having a shit day or I don't want to turn on any more electronics, I don't want to turn on a video game system, I'll do that as a form of relaxation.
Oh
So
man, I can't believe you could space it out. Me, I get so enthralled in it. Like I gotta finish the robot. Like I have to see the end product. I don't know. It for me, it's just like I get what you're saying because I get all those same sentiments pertaining to like how relaxing it is, how I'm utilizing more than just being, you know, for these current generation of games, just being subconscious while playing. Um, but when it comes to building them, I guess the reason why I was able to push out one each day was because I was like, I just have to finish it. I have to see the finished product. It's just something
I can
about.
relate to that because for me, I'm very obsessive. Like when I'm into something, I'm locked in, and so for me, it's like I get zoned out, and it's just me and the pieces, and that's it. And
Yeah.
hours can go by, and you know, I'm just there.
I get it. I respect it. I mean, me with Kong kind of said the story when me and him went to that cool store where we live. I still haven't finished that kit. Mostly because I'm just stretching it out. Like I finished the torso, the head, and I'm working on the arms now. So it's just like I don't know. I get it. I get it. I'm not knocking it. I get when like you get into something, you want to see it come from sheets of plastic to finished kit. But I guess I just work differently in that regards. And master grades kind of help facilitate that because they're a lot more extensive. So it's just like, all right, if all I do is the arm today, cool. That's what I do today. I did the arms. And I usually do the customization while I'm building it. So I'll panel line each individual arm. I'll apply decals to the individual pieces. I know some people do it all in one shot. That's just a preference thing. I just find it easier to manipulate an arm rather than manipulating the whole finished model. So that's kind of through trial and error that I've kind of leaned toward that methodology when it comes to building and customizing. But no, like this hobby is expensive, but I love it. It's creative. It's creative. I'm not a super creative person. I don't draw. I don't I don't do any 3D modeling. I don't make music or anything like that. I don't really play an instrument. So for me, this is my creative outlet, even though it's kind of like follow instructions, build kit, but it just allows me to be creative. And these kits get expensive. I'm not gonna front. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. They get pricey. I've spent the perfect grade was $280.
Yeah.
I've spent 100, 120, 150 on some kits. The cheapest master grade I own is $60. So it definitely can get pricey. But it's if you have the disposable income or if you know how to budget yourself, it could be a great hobby to get into. Like I'm ready. My next big purchase is I'm ready to drop $280 on another perfect grade of RXZ8 2 Gundam. The main
Yeah.
character in the anime Julio Kong is currently watching.
What is it? Amuro?
Yeah, Amuro's Gundam. Like the Gundam when like people look up Gundam. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm
Damn, I don't want to. I can't spoil anything because shit. Kong is watching it, but yeah,
Yeah, please don't
yeah.
spoil anything.
I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. I
there,
for me to
there,
say
there
for
are
me,
Gundams. Don't worry.
yeah, for me to say what I want to say would spoil it for you, and I don't want that to happen. So yeah,
Yeah.
you
So
just keep watching.
needless to say, I am ready to drop significant cash on him. So I don't know. It's a great hobby to get into, and it's perfect example of how you can like something but not necessarily know the background of it, and that not be a factor. Because when Kong got into it, he didn't know any of the shows, he didn't know the characters, he didn't know the timelines. He was just like, what's that? He looks cool. And me and Zeta in our late night chats would tell him, oh, this thing is from blah, he's from this show, this is the main character that pilots him, this is why he died, this is what his ideals and beliefs on. And Khan was like, yeah, he looks cool though. So it's like
Yeah.
a perfect example of how you can not necessarily know anything about Gundam, but you could just see it on an aesthetic level and go, that's just cool, I want to build
Yeah.
it.
See, from my experience, like I've always watched the Gundam shows. Um, it was pretty much accessible to me. Some of them even before Gundam Wing, because luckily I have an older brother who kind of like thrives in anime, gaming, nerd culture, and things like that. So I was pretty much exposed to these things at a young age. But what really gravitated me towards Gunpla was the fact that I was able to build robots that I seen on the show. So that's what pushed me to like really want to build a kit. And what really made me fall in love with these kits is the fact that these kits are so articulate that most of the things that are done in the show are pretty much transferred over to the kit itself. So if you see certain Gundams that pull sword components out of certain parts of their body, it's articulated within those kits. Like they're really well made replicas of what each Gundam represents. Like I'm about to work on the Wing Gundam. Probably after this podcast, I would say. Well, no, after I pick up the misses. I'm gonna work on the Wing.
Responsibilities.
Yeah,
Sorry, babe, I'm building. Take a Uber.
yeah, right. But one of the things that the Gundam can do is it can transition from airplane mode to Gundam mode, and they were able to encompass that within the kit itself, and I find that to be really amazing. I think that's probably what also drives me to want to see the finished product, because I just recently built what was it, the Gundam Ground Urban Custom, the combat type, and it comes with a like a big ass Gundam Jansport book bag. You can put all its like weapons inside of it. Well, not all the weapons exactly. It's just like he carries this big like gun that comes in like 3 attachments that you put in his book bag. You're able to pop off the side of his like shins to take like the blade handle for his beam sword. Like it's amazing. Like the level of articulation that's being represented by a plastic model, I find it so phenomenal, and it only gets better as you elevate to the higher grades. Like it gets even more articulation, more definition. It looks more aesthetically pleasing. Like it's it's amazing to just to see these little plastic models represent what the creators did in whatever genre of Gundam that they came from. I love it.
Yeah, they're 100% anatomically correct to like the actual Gundam.
Yeah.
And oh man, there's so much little things. Like there's optional parts you can put on. There's different types of decals you can do. Look, this goes to show Kong was doing a lot more research than me, and he showed he stumbled upon Gundam markers, and I'm like, I heard about them, but I was kind of I was a little wary to kind of mess with it because I'm like, I thought I was making leaps and bounds panel lining, and to me that's a lot of work. So, when he discovered and showed me like videos that he was researching about Gundam markers, and he showed some of kind of the kits he went back to and upgraded like painted the weapons, painted some of the models. I'm like, wow, okay. So Gundam markers are kind of like an intro to full blown painting and then spray painting if you want to go like the expert, I guess, way of doing it. So now, I'm cleaning my room and I find I bought Gundam markers at some point. So I'm like, oh shit, okay, I guess it was destiny. And now I'm gonna try doing Gundam markers because I always did it very vanilla. I would just put the kit together. I would apply the decals, and I started doing panel lining. That was like out of my comfort zone. So even though I've been building kits longer, Kong is more like ready and willing to let's start customizing this bitch like instant. And because that's another good thing, he has no.
I have no ties to the show, so for me, it's
Yeah,
like whatever, man.
right.
We're just doing stuff.
Yeah, so for me, like if I make Amuro's Gundam, he has to be blue, red, and white. He's gotta be. But Kong is like, nah, make that motherfucker black with red fire.
Yeah,
Like I want some fucking put the Yankee symbol on him. Fuck, I don't give a shit. It's like
give him some Tims. You know what I'm saying?
And that is, and I am the complete opposite of the spectrum. Like I have so much fear doing the extra stuff to the Gundam that I'm afraid that I might mess something up because I want, for when I do decide to do it, I have no idea as to when. I want it to look like its definitive version. Like everything has to be accounted for. Everything has to be there. And I think what makes me a little reluctant to do it is because these things are tied to money and time as well. So for me to have built a Gundam, everything is, all the moving pieces are working, all the components are accurate, everything's done, it looks amazing. And then for me to come and mess it up with lining or Gundam markers or just try to kind of elevate my creativity and botch it, I'm gonna be really upset. Really upset. I mean, my current like remedy for my mindset is to get the entry grade kits, build those and work on them because they run roughly cheaper than the other grade kits. And they're relatively quicker to build. Work on those, get my precision, just get into the swing of things, and pretty much customize that model that way. Like get another RX 78-2, build that one, color it, and so on and so forth.
you guys are definitely taking the smarter approach. You do it with high grade kits, so it's low barrier to entry, and the blow to your wallet and your kind of like confidence is lessened because this is just to try out. I wouldn't recommend get that perfect grade Wing Zero and get them paints. No, I mean, some people dive into the deep end of the pool, and respect to you, but we're talking about a couple Benjamins on that one, so you gotta be.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Gunnar, but not only that, the fact that you have to rebuild that model again, which I personally don't mind, but it definitely takes time from another model kit that you haven't built as of yet. So, you have to do that. Then you have to try to color it all over again. It's crazy.
You could, but like, here's the good thing about it, because when I started way back in the Toys R Us days, there wasn't anywhere near a Western community as there is now.
Yeah.
So now you have YouTube, you have forums, you have actual meetups, right? And like you have a like plethora of information where you can make like educated, not even guesses at this point, like educated, like pinpoint decisions on, okay, so this is what a Gundam marker is. This is kind of what to expect when I apply a Gundam marker to the kit. And
Mhm.
then you're not going in blind anymore. You're going in knowledgeable and knowing, okay, this is what I can expect. I'm expecting that I might, make a fuck up. I might do a little gaff here or there, but I know what I'm getting into. You're not going in blind. Not like back then where it was just like, here's the instruction manual. It's in a foreign language. Good luck. So, the world of Gunpla is definitely more vibrant in the West now.
More forgivable.
Yeah.
Comparatively,
Yeah.
Definitely is. I mean, I would say I felt it really did raise my confidence back then though, building the kit, because it was pure Japanese, even though it's still a different, like, it's still a bag. It's a mixed bag due to the fact that some kits are in full Japanese that I recently purchased, and I was shocked because I don't know if you guys remember when I did get these kits and I built one of the models. Some of the instructions was in English, and I was like, "Holy shit, they got them in English now!" But this is how far removed I've been from the whole Gunpla world, because I started and ended from a time where it was only in Japanese, and then came back when the whole activity became so like prominent now in the Western world, the Western side of the world, that they have English instructions. Also, I was like looking at different kits as well, at different places that I didn't think they would have them there. So I went to Target one day and I saw some kits there. So I decided to check on the web. Target has like their own exclusive Gundam kits. Like,
oh wow, I didn't know that.
they have I think they have the alternate color of the RX there. It's a whole different color. I think it's a high grade as well. And it said only at Target. I was like, holy shit, wow. So now stores have exclusives, and I wonder how much they're going to push that envelope. Because
It
crazy.
depends. I know Bandai Namco is now 100%, or specifically Bandai, is now fully aware that Westerners build, collect, and want more Gunpla. Like, they have Premium Bandai. It's an online store. You can pre-order these kits. You could buy these kits. So they know there's no need to have like a Western version, because it's all the same thing. So, like I said, like I told you in the chat when you kind of discovered that, a lot of new kits, they just put English text now because they know that Westerners are building these things. So it's not going to set the world on fire. It's not like Pops in the West, where they're everywhere and people have pop fucking competitions and shit. But it's here enough that we don't have to worry about, oh my god, are we going to get the new kits? Oh, we got new kits. Come to find out they're kits from 10 years ago. No, like the West now gets current kits. You can pre-order these kits, and when they drop in Japan, they'll send some to the West and you can get your hands on them. So the Gunpla building has become way more accepted and way more accessible in the West now than it was when we were younger, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, I mean, we've kind of talked about what got us into it, like how do we feel about it. So what do we think? What are things that we kind of like about Gunpla, and what do we don't like? I know Esoteric has shared some stories about certain aspects of kits that he doesn't like. Kong has shared some stories about the beads. Yeah, so
Oh yeah.
that's just it's not all sunshine and rainbows when we build these things. They can get a little stressful because these parts, they get really tiny. They really do.
So I'll
So
say, so I'm still in the high grade area, even though I've done 2 real grades, and I plan to do a master grade sometime in this upcoming month. Um, there are some high grades. I'm looking at the ones that I've built. There are some that I enjoyed more than others, for sure. Um, and what I like the high grade scale. They're about 5.5, 6 inches tall. They kind of vary a little bit, but that's pretty much like the scale of them. They're not bigger than 6 inches. They're usually 5.5 or so, and I enjoy that scale because I'm able to, excuse me, I'm able to stuff quite a bit in my like display cabinet, which is good. More is always fun to look at. Um, the real grades, though, the 2 that I've built are the Zigok, the Char's Zigok, and the Zaku. And while they weren't hard to build, from like overall, I didn't find it that much harder than building a high grade. They were a little more tedious, and they had frustrations tied to them. So like specifically with the Zaku, I like the kit, and I like the way it looks. I'm looking at him now. I colored his bazooka green, like a olive green, and so it looks way better than like the standard Gunpla gray that they come in. So the kit looks great, but like posing him has been a bitch because like the real grades are a little heavier. They're heftier, which is nice. I like the weight, but it's harder to pose. At least the pose that I wanted to get him in just wasn't happening, and his feet. I know the Zaku's, they have like a set design, so his feet aren't as like plantable, even though they have like toe joints and like back ball joints or whatever, or um like hinges or whatever to like stand properly, but he just doesn't stand the right way. Um I got him to stand, but like it took a lot longer. It was a little frustrating. And then also with the Zaku, the beads on like the tubes
Oh
was like
god.
super stressful. Like I was just like, oh my god, like the moment I did one, I had to take a break from the beads. I was like, okay, I'll do the other one later. I'll work on this hand or something, or this arm, because it was just so they were so tiny, and I have these large gorilla hands. So even with the tweezers, it's like feels like I'm performing heart surgery. So like it looks cool. Like the final product looks amazing because it looks more realistic to what would if these things were real. But the process in getting there is a little more stressful. So I'm preparing myself because eventually I'll work my way up to perfect and master grade and all that.
Mhm.
So there's that, and then the Zgok. I fucked up on the build and the way that that particular bot is built. He's very unorthodox. He's very like slinky like, and so he just I don't know, man. Like his joints aren't like all right. You just snap these pieces together. It's like this weird circular fucking frame that he has, and it was just like I don't know. It's just something about that kit that was just like this is kind of annoying. It wasn't as enjoyable to build as some of the other guys. I mean, he's very posable, but will I rush to build another Zgok? Probably not. So I don't know. I'm gonna go back to what I said earlier. I like the GMs. I like the ground units. Like those are a lot of fun to build. The bulkier Universal Century blocky guys. Those guys are just funner. They're easy. Yeah, they're easier to build for sure, but they're funner to pose and to put together. And I feel like in the long run, once I start getting into more customization, they're going to be easier to customize. So they're just going to be more satisfying to work with. The next step, I do plan to get into paints, but I'm also planning to get into lighting as well. So I want to learn how to rig lights into the kit with a battery and a switch. That's something I'm going to work on where I can. We'll see. I don't know. No promises here, but the plan is to get like a switch, like either on their arm, their back, or something, to where I could just turn it on and off, turn on the lighting on and off, and then rig the battery into the kit itself, into the chest or into the backpack or whatever they have. That's something I want to do eventually, which is why I bought a bunch of the cheaper like GM kits. So
Okay.
but yeah, I'll let
Wow.
Esoteric go.
Oh, well, I was gonna say pretty much that I kind of fall under that same issue with me having like big hands, and some of these parts are unreasonably tiny. First and foremost, I feel as if like some of these components don't need to be separate. Like for example, having the whole ball around, like as Kong mentioned, the Zaku, like those should have been kind of like tethered together and just malleable enough to kind of like bend it to the way to give off the actual shape of what it is. I had a kit that did the same thing, but I don't recall what it was. I'm not really sure. It definitely escapes me. But I feel like, okay, perfect example would be like one of the issues I have is that my apartment is currently the floor is nothing but carpet. So some of those pieces falling to the ground is a real problem for me. And it has happened a couple of times, and it typically is usually the smallest pieces.
Yep.
What I would like to say is that I feel like the helmet like it should come as one, honestly. Like having to deal with the crown, which is very very small, having to deal with the face plate, the helmet, the two helmet components, because typically, just for the viewers that don't play that haven't built a Gunpla, the helmets essentially come into at least four parts. You have the back of the helmet, you have the top of the helmet, you have the crown, and then you have the face plate that goes into the entire structure of the helmet. Depending upon which grade you get, it's more defined. So it's more pieces that you have to work with. Also, another variable to add to that is dependent upon the Gundam as well. So be on the lookout because every Gundam has a crown. It's either like yellow, white. Very rare that it takes on the color of the Gundam, but they're typically yellow and white, which is a small piece to deal with. So I was building one of my kits, and one of those fell to the ground, and it took like half an hour just to find that
Oh
one
my
piece.
goodness.
Like literally half an hour. I hate carpets. I'm not a fan of them. The apartment was nice enough for me to say, hey, well, let me just, live here. And just finding shit, whether it's screws, whether it's Gundam components, it's a huge problem. Another issue that I have with like Gundams is the manuals aren't consistent, right? So there'll be some instances where some manuals will indicate that you're building a part times two, right? So typically it's usually the arms and the legs. Almost every Gundam comes with 2 arms, 2 legs. There are some variants to them, like let's say if you're building Shenlong, that's I think his name is Wu Fei's Gundam from Gundam Wing.
Yeah.
It's one of his arms is different because one of his arms carry like this snake type component that he uses to like grab other Gundams or other mobile suits and so on. So the instructions will be pretty different. But I'm talking about the generic arms and legs. There'll be some instances where they'll tell you to build the parts times 2. And then there are other instruction manuals that will separate them. So they'll say, oh, left arm, then they'll say right arm, then they'll say left leg, right leg. And you have to be really attentive when looking at the instructions because primarily, especially the kits that I dealt with back in the days, because I can't read hiragana. I can't read katakana. I can't read any of those characters. Um, Typically, you're primarily looking at the pictures. The pictures is your biggest source of reference. So sometimes I tend to get lost because I'm looking at the left arm, but I end up doing the right arm because I'm not, I
Oh,
kind of get lost because the information is so abundant and it's like everything is stacked together in the manual. I tend to lose focus and lose my placement at certain times. And the same thing goes for how they label the how they label, damn, I forgot what they were called. We literally spoke about them before the podcast. Is it the runners? Is that what they called? With it that holds the pieces.
Yeah, the runners.
yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
Or
Okay.
trees. Some people call them trees.
Okay. Gotcha. So the runners are not listed like they're inconsistent. So there'll be some instances where two of the same parts will be A1 and 1, but then there'll be another kit that says that has the same parts that are identical that you have to add to whatever your part of the Gundam you're building on. It'll be A1 45 and then A2 46. So it's like, I feel like they need to have a little more consistency when it comes to the instruction manuals. Certain components don't need to be relatively small. I think they could come together. I understand that we're building a Gundam kit, and that's like the essence, and that's the the whole process and the love. But guys like myself who have relatively fat fingers, dealing with small crowns and small face plates are can be really annoying. And last but not least, I would say the last thing that I have an issue with is that I hate that some of the Gundam eyes they require a sticker while they build others that already has the color that they come with. So like I did the Leo who had the big mirror, for those of you who know about the Leo, it has a big yellow like mirror as the faceplate. And that was cool because it represented that flawlessly. It was a clear plastic yellow orange faceplate that he had that I just had to pop on. Whereas the Barbatos Gundam that I had, the high grade version, I had to try to apply stickers on it, and that annoyed the hell out of me. I think it takes away from the overall look of the Gundam. It should have just had the green eyes that you just pop in, which I'll say is another thing. The eyes should be attached to the helmet or the faceplate. Like popping eyes into the goddamn kit is extremely annoying. Extremely annoying. Like the shit is tiny. It's tinier than a fingernail.
Try
Imagine if
working
I
with the beads.
The
The
bees.
Zaku beads, man.
So, I'll because I couldn't really describe it well in the text chat when you mentioned that, but I can here, and it's for content, so double yay. That I will chalk up to the quality, like the quality of the kit. So, for example, I'll take the same Gundam you were talking about, Barbados. I built the master grade Barbados, and that has stickers for the eyes. So tell me, for the Barbados, was it just like one sticker that encompassed both eyes, or were they individual?
It was one sticker that it was one sticker that encompassed both eyes, but they had two pairs of stickers for like I guess the Barbados's mode. So
Okay.
they had the I think I said green the last time.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, so I believe it was either red or yellow. I don't think the Barbatos has green eyes. I could be wrong.
It
Like
does. It does.
it
It does.
escapes me. Okay.
So
So the thing was they gave us two different colors. It was green and some other color. So you had to apply either or. But I had another Gundam. I believe it was either the Goof Custom or the 78-2 which was an entry grade, mind you. It was an entry grade Gundam kit and it actually had the eyes on the runner. So it's like I'd prefer that over popping stickers into the Gundam kit. It looks so much better in my opinion.
So I'll chalk that up to either like the quality, high grade to master grade, or just the year. Because as like the
Okay.
Gundam kits evolve, so they'll hear like issues like that from the community, and they'll go, okay, well now our kits come with the eyes already set. So it just could be
Mm,
like the kits you're buying are kind of from that like before the shift. So when
okay.
I did my Barbados, they had stickers for the eyes, but the stickers were individual eye slits, which fit perfectly onto the plastic of the eye. So
Mm.
that might be more cumbersome because I had to use tweezers and kind of surgically plant the eye sticker on the eye. But it wasn't like one of those other kits where you had to take the sticker and kind of wrap it around the eye. It wasn't like that. So it was a lot cleaner to put on and it came out a lot nicer looking. So I might chalk that up to just the like a high grade compared to a master grade. Obviously, they're gonna, it's a lesser. I don't want to use it in a derogatory sense, but it's a lesser quality kit, so they kind of make it more not to mass produce, but easier to kind of apply, or that's their goal. Whereas the master grade is more finely tuned, so they expect that you're comfortable wielding smaller pieces, including stickers.
I get
So
that, but I just feel like the eyes from the runner that comes directly from the runner is more aesthetically pleasing in my opinion because there's like it's clear there's like this at certain angles there's like this luminesque feel to it, you know, for when you're like rotating the figure and you can like see right through the eyes in certain instances
oh
where
yeah, yeah.
yeah, whereas the stickers it's like
Well, that's purposefully done because I was telling Kong in like a conversation we were having that the reason why some of the higher end kits are have the see-through eyes is because they specifically have a LED that you put into the neck that when you light up it goes through the eyes.
yeah, that's
Usually
probably why the perfect grade Wing Zero had that.
exactly. So, but even then if you don't do that, they still provide you the stickers to kind of simulate the glow. So it's just a preference thing. Um, so I guess I'll talk about one that I haven't shared with you guys of like the most stressful application of decals that I've ever done. It was for the High New Gundam, the Master Grade Verka version of the Gundam. So for that Gundam, it had water slide decals. So for those who don't know what water slide decals is, they're a sheet of decals that you have to individually cut out and you have to place into an actual bowl of water and slide the decal off and leave it there or apply adhesive to it to kind of make sure it sticks. So for this Gundam, they wanted me to put 6 of them. Actually, no, it was 9. I had to put 2 on each. They're called funnels for those who know the Gundam lore. There are things called funnels, and it looked like wings on his back. So I had to put those water slide decals on each and every single funnel to complete the look. And the reason that was so stressful is because when these things get wet, they get they're very easy to rip. If you apply too much pressure on the tweezer, it'll rip right through the sticker. So some of these I had to wrap around the funnel and then apply the bonding liquid that I use called Mr. Mark Softer. I I don't make the names, but that forces the water slide to kind of stick to it, and it slightly melts it onto the piece. So realistically, you only have one shot to do this, and I had to do this for 6 individual pieces, and that shit took me like 3 weeks because I would do one, and much like Kong with the beads, I would like, all right, we're gonna take a break. because that shit was stressful. Because if I fucked it up,
Were they
I'm
long?
out of luck.
Like how
Yeah.
big were they?
They were more like wide because they were meant to wrap around the actual funnel piece.
Okay.
If you guys log in, join our Discord, you can actually see the model kit because I posted a picture of it, and you can see like the purple little tips. Those didn't come on the plastic. Like that was me applying the water slide decals to those funnels. So I had to do that for all of them, and that shit stressed me the fuck out. But when it came together, it fucking looked amazing. So like, that's not something that I necessarily dislike, but it's something that I'm not itching to do again. And potentially, are there easier ways to do it? Sure, but that's how I did it. And it was a lot. It was a lot, but it came out great. It came out swell. So yeah, that's really stressful.
Well, I'm not looking forward to that. If I ever get there, but it's an interesting hobby. If anybody's listening who hasn't gotten into it, I think it's worth looking into if you're into just constructing anything. And if you like the show, then I think that's more reason to get into the hobby. And if you're not into the show, if you like the aesthetic of the kits, which is my reasoning, that was all I needed, right? I just needed to like the overall look and enjoy the process. And I like collecting and posing things and displaying things, so it just kind of all worked out for me. And now I'm looking into getting, customizing them and just making my own thing. And I spoke to Gunnar, I think a week ago or something. We were talking, and I was like, yeah, I want to do like a jungle Gundam where I'll get like prop grass from like Michael's art store or whatever, and kind of like put it on his shield and give him like a ghillie suit or whatever. Like I want to do stuff like that, just silly whatever stuff.
We didn't even talk about environments either. Like
no, that's something I want to do too. But I kind of lack the space to do that effectively with the amount of kits that I have kind of built already and the ones that I have to be built. So
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know about doing dioramas yet, but that's in the pipeline for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I love Gundam, big fan, but I also love that it's a hobby that I can share with you guys, and it's just we can just do it from an aesthetic point of view. It's just a simple cool factor. This thing looks cool. And that's what I love about it. You can people could come in for different reasons. And honestly, I haven't interacted with a lot of other Gunpla builders that aren't like my direct friends. But I've run into a couple and they seem like pretty chill guys. Like I've had people that see me buy a kit and they're like, "Hey man, I built that one. You're going to enjoy that one. Have fun with it." And it's just like you don't really get that from a lot of communities. I'm not saying there aren't like Gunpla elitists that were like, fucking high grade crit, please. The street is over there. Please go that way. But they exist. They exist in every community. But from my interactions with the overall community, they seem like pretty chill guys and gals that just like to build tiny robots. It's just like that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So, yeah. We have a convention coming up that we're all gonna meet up and go to, and we're gonna hit up that Bandai Namco booth. And I know at least the three of us are walking away with something. How many somethings we'll see.
Maybe. No promises.
Yeah, but
last year I was able to not get anything. This year I don't know if I can fight temptation.
Oh, I'm coming in. If I only get one big thing, that'll be what I leave with. I can focus myself enough to walk away with at least one big thing or maybe a couple mid-sized things. We'll see. But hey, look forward to that content. We'll definitely post pictures and videos of that.
Yeah, it's in November, so we got ways away before that comes. But with as fast as time has kind of been going. Like every year, at the end of every year, I'm just like, really? It's over? What?
Yeah, 1 minute it's summer, the next minute the snow's falling.
Next
I
minute, it's
mean,
like Happy New Year. I'm like, oh, I got to do my taxes. What the fuck? Okay, all
I
right.
mean, as kids, we had the liberty of being able to watch paint dry, given all the time that we had. Now, as adults, we're so like focused on several different things, and we also are very independent. Whereas like time flies significant. So
Well,
I
it's
mean that.
also like for me at least, like I'm always thinking about the next paycheck because it's like, all right,
that too.
I got to pay this, and this. Okay, I can pay it by this time. So like I'm always moving forward mentally, and
Yeah,
so I don't get to I don't get to enjoy the moment a lot these days. And so Gunpla, ironically enough, allows me to kind of just stay in this moment for a bit and kind of
Yeah.
yeah.
enjoy this moment, um, which is nice. That's another reason why I like the hobby. But you were saying something, Gunner. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna probably say the same thing as you. It's the fact that you can just use this as relaxation, right? Everybody talks about me time. I mean, this is the one time I'll agree. Hey, this is me time. Like I say, I make a whole production value out of this. I got nice music going, a podcast going. It's just something to kind of like take your mind off the hecticness, right? Kong is like he's talked about real world responsibilities, and we all have that. Depending on how old you are, you have more, you have less.
Mm-hmm.
So this kind of hobby is much like some people use reading or some people use meditation to kind of do it. I use gunpla building as a form of meditation. It's just like, okay, well, the ills of the world and all the crazy shit that's going on right now, at least for an hour, 2 hours, it doesn't matter. What matters is that I'm going to build this torso right now. I'm going to build these arms. I'm panel lining. Like that's what matters right now. So, especially during times where it's been rough for like my mental state and whatnot, this hobby, it's kind of helped. It's kind of like, I could focus into something that isn't so doom and gloom. And it's, I build this out of nothing. And it's just like, you know what? That's a sense of accomplishment. It's small, it's insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but right here, right now, it means a lot. And, I can share it with you guys, my friends. I can, pose them and just like have a nice collection to kind of sit down and marvel at. And I'll remember, you know what? I remember the struggles I had with you. I remember how fun it was building you. You were a bitch to build. So stuff like that. It's just nice to kind
Yeah.
of sit down and pause for a little bit, or at least slow things down a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely sets a building these Gundams definitely sets like a timestamp, so to speak. Like you're definitely gonna remember each and every detail of the experience you shared with each kid. And like, it being small, that's all subjective, right? Because although in the grand scheme of things, it definitely is small, but it's grandiose among us or people who build gunplas because it's very accomplishing. It's like it's what for me it's one of the very few things that I'm able to really like sit down and go through and actually enjoy the process more than the actual end product, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
It's
no,
No, it
I
does.
get you.
Yeah, the
That's why I don't
process
really
is a
buy.
big part of it.
Yeah, that's why I don't really buy a whole lot of statues anymore because I'm just so used to gunpla building now. I can't. I have a hard time buying like an anime statue or a video game statue and just opening it up or maybe not opening it up and just putting it on a shelf. It's like that's it. That's that's the extent of it. Gunpla is just so much more involved and I feel way more accomplished when it's all put together and posed and
yeah,
painted and whatnot.
it's more appreciation because you feel like you participated in the creation of it, as opposed to like a statue that you just got. It's as if, well, it's not. It's as if it actually is just someone giving you something that's finished. But you who are you have this kit, you have several pieces, you're putting it together, you're a part of its creation, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And if you start customizing, that's even more personal. So it's
Yeah.
like, it's one thing to have the straight out the box Gunpla, but you start doing painting and custom paint jobs and battle damage and the whole plethora of things you can do with it, then that becomes more and more of this is my kit. It's not just a kit, it's my kit. So that's what I love about the hobby. It's a great hobby. It's expensive, but
It can be expensive, but if you temper yourself, you can control how much
Yeah,
you invest for sure. I mean, it can be difficult, but possible for sure. So, with that being said, guys, thanks for a great conversation. Anybody listening and who's made it this far, thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed some part of the conversation or found something relative. We'll probably be doing more of this stuff because, I'm getting into the hobby more and I'm planning to dive deeper into it. And I'm pretty sure Esoteric is as well. And Gunner is already in, he's doing perfect grade. That's kind of like his new standard. So we'll be doing more Gunpla stuff in the future, like talks and maybe even
definitely.
like display videos or showcase videos. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But if you enjoyed the content, we do podcasts every week, so we publish every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Subscribe so that you're notified when these episodes do go live. We talk all sorts of things now: Gunpla, collecting, nerd culture, video games, video game news, video game events. We tier lists. I mean, we do like a bunch of different things.
Gambit.
We just talk. This is just a good outlet for us to just chat about a particular thing, and we post it online for other people to kind of engage on. So, also we have different social media platforms as well. So we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. There's even a TikTok, and then we also have a Discord. All those links will be in the description down below. So if you want to join us on any of those platforms, you're welcome to. We also stream. So I stream every now and again. I haven't streamed in like a year, if I'm being honest here. So I mean, my Twitch channel will be in the description if you want to follow me. Esoteric, he streams on a consistent basis. He streams 2 times a week. He's on the main channel, Logical Gamers TV on Twitch, so give him a follow, check him out. He streams video game stuff, so he'll do AAA games, party games, indie games, retro games. He does pretty much everything there is to do, so definitely check him out there. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it, dislike if you didn't, and comment down below, let us know what you thought. With all that being said, thank you guys for a great conversation again. Thank you for listening. We'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, it was fun. Take care.
Peace.